Okay, so when you're combining objects too, what happens is Maya is what's called history dependent. So you'll see there's kind of like a recording of things that have happened. Um, I've tried turning off, you can turn off history being stored, but it can create other weird issues. And I find it's one of the limitations or one of the like struggles of Maya when it comes to modeling. And what happens is you see all these other groups here were left behind from the individual separate mesh. So what I highly recommend you do, if you've combined multiple objects into one, hold Alt-Shift-D, and that will delete the history. And you see how it kind of cleans out those excess groups? They're like selection sets that hold the old transforms, the old gizmo info. We don't need that anymore. Alt-Shift-D, delete, okay? Go back to this. I usually do it as a general rule. It's a good idea to do it with almost any object in your scene. Pre-rigging, I should say. Pre-rigging. Again, I recommend labeling things. So we can go to PRP for props, or you can go just type in the word prop if you like. Prop underscore lamp. So a good idea to get organized. This we'll call prop. Usually go category, then like sort of broad category, then what am I doing? Table. If you have multiple copies of something and you didn't rename them, I'll show you a little trick to that too. So shift drag, shifty, shifty. You see these are just P cylinder, right? What you can do is grab them. Where's this one? There's a little tool in here called, I think it's under modify, search and replace names. Okay. If you click on that, you basically search for P cylinder. Okay. P cylinder. And then I'm going to replace it with prop underscore. We'll just call it chair for now. Chair. And I usually put an underscore because it gives you a space, visual space for the naming, right? Did I capitalize? Yeah, I capitalized the other one, so I'm going to make sure those are capitalized too. Okay, hit replace. Bam. They're all properly renamed now. Go to display. I think we can go sort by alphabetical within type. Beautiful, right? If I'm looking for set pieces, set. There's the set floor. I didn't do the set wall. I think I just called it wall, so I'm going to do that here. So underscore set underscore wall. So layers and I think naming is very, very useful, and combining for organizing your scene, right? So again, if I go to set, there it is. If I'm checking out props, there it is. For characters, this guy, I usually will sort of start with CHR for character and then whatever the character name is. Dude bro. Okay, so that way you can kind of find all the characters and isolate the characters. So if I hit CHR, select that, hit Control 1, bam. So sometimes if your scene's getting really heavy, really slow, have you had situations like that yet? The animation gets slow, just hide the rest of the scene for a few minutes and you'll get back probably a fair bit of speed. Okay. And then, like I said, just make sure, yeah, you've kind of set your project. First set project, pick your folder, let's say. Set project. Go back. Oops, I don't want to go home. Go back to Maya. Go to File, Project Window. Just make sure, if you haven't done this yet, you go to Accept. It creates all these folders. This is already in here. If I go to File, Save Scene As, I want to show you some other tricks. So this goes automatically to your scene folder, okay? Cam underscore setup. What I prefer to do is to actually make this ASCII, okay, which is MA file. I'll show you why in a minute. And I'm going to cancel this first. I'm going to show you my preferred setup here. So what I will do is go to Save Scene and go to the options box first. I like to do what's called an incremental save. And you can limit this to 20, 30 files. I do recommend at least 20. And you can also tell it to compress the file. So what that means is it's going to shrink the file without losing any data to save on space. So that can help. And we can maybe turn this option on. I'm not really sure what that does, okay? So I like this. I'll go to Edit, Save Settings. Every time this happens now, that's what's going to happen. Go to File, Save Scene As, default it to MA. Again, go to Edit, Save. So that's a default. Everything else is fine. And there's also the, yeah, I think that's it. So now if I go to Save Scene As, I just want to show you, because I don't think I've saved the scene yet. Cam underscore setup. Save as. Okay, that saves. Now let's say I make some changes here. I delete some of this. If I hit Control S, it automatically saves. And what I absolutely love about this, and I don't want you to change this. Never change this. If you've done this, where am I? Right here. Okay, check out what happens. If you go to the scene folder, I always have this file name as my main file. But if you go to increment save, I've got version 1. Now let's say I move this guy back, hit Control S. Well, what does it do? It automatically, hold on a second. Is it doing it? Not yet. Let me just do, right, I forgot. I have to do Alt Control S. So make sure you Alt Control S. You make another change, Alt Control S. Okay. So what happens is, okay, this is always the latest file, which is great because let's say somebody's animating a shot, you're updating the set. Okay. There's what's called a reference. So the reference is loading one file into another. You can't have version 3.4.5 because then you're going to have to go to the reference and go, okay, I have to swap version 3 for version 4. But if you go to increment and save, I've got backups now of the scene at different states. And I always do versions. 1, 2, 3. This does it for me now, which is great, right? So I can say, okay, I want to go back to version 1, not version 2. Or, let's say I go up here, whatever. What did I say? Alt Control S, right? We should have, oops, let me just make sure I'm hitting the right shortcut. Control Alt S, yeah. Yeah, things have to be like fairly different. So let's say I'm adding another chair, Alt Control S. Sorry, let me just make sure this is on. Yeah, save scene. It should work with Control S. There we go. I'm not sure why it's not updating properly. Here, I'll delete this. Let me just try this again. Scenes. Oh, there we go. Now it's actually doing the proper thing, but okay, so sorry, let me go back to this. So I'm going to go File, Save As, Cam Setup, okay. So like I said, you do have to have kind of changes in the scene. Control S, delete this, Control S. Let's say I make a copy of the table, Control S. For me, my kind of like mental note is to try to like save it every few minutes. Now you've got, again, multiple versions, right, showing up. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of leave off. I usually turn off the leave, increment and save. Let's just save this. I feel like I'm getting some weird behavior actually out of this, which I find odd, but yeah, there we go. So now I'm actually getting new versions, right? And you see the latest version is 1511 kilobytes. If I go back to the main root, this should be the latest. Okay, so what's good about this is that it always makes sure you're up to date. And don't do this. Please don't ever do this. I really just like this. You go in here like, I'm going to call this version 2 is the one I want to go back to, fix-01. And then it's 02. And then it's like fix. I'm sure you've done this, yes? Just leave the numbers. You've used Autodesk Flow. Yes? No? Maybe? Okay, so we have a software. It's more or less a website. Dawson site. Is that it? Anyways, yeah. So, no, that's not, I got to find the website. But anyways, we have a site. It's called Flow, and basically what it is like an asset tracker for. It's used on huge films, games, blah blah blah. So when you're working on an asset, you can say, okay, I worked on version 3, 4, 5 today, or I saved version 3, 4, 5, but turns out I'm going to go back to version 3 and make that version 6 and start a new branch. You don't change the numbering or the versioning after. You just make a note on the tracking that you're doing, which is Autodesk Flow. Here, I'll just kind of show you briefly what that looks like. Autodesk Flow. Okay. right? So it sort of allows you to like have an asset in there, and then you say, okay, I'm in modeling stage. Now I'm in texturing. Now I'm in rigging. Now I'm in look dev and lighting and rendering, okay? And so you can make an input like a journal that says, okay, this is where I'm at on this shot. This is my daily progress, okay? So that's how you keep track of that. It's like a production journal. And I'll just show you briefly my sort of setup. So if you look at any of my models, I do this even with ZBrush. We got some really ridiculous names, but I just simple naming, simple numbering. I don't go fix. I just say, okay, I'm going to go back to the one that works or the one I prefer if I need a new branch, and that's going to be the latest number, okay?